What's up, interwebs? It's your realtor, Jeremy, and I know it's Wednesday, and it's been a few weeks since I've had like the official show, but I'm back, sort of. I know it's late. It's been a crazy few weeks, and I'm stoked with what's going on. Between my wife and I, we actually have 4 closings in the next 4 weeks. So if I miss some posts and stuff like that, that's what's happening, man. I'm just busy and taking care of my clients, and it's pretty awesome right now, so I'm pretty stoked. But anyway, let's get into this week's Tuesday market update on a Wednesday. I know it used to be Monday, it's Tuesday, now today's Wednesday. I promise, I'll get back on Tuesday next week. Hopefully. Okay, anyway, so since inventory levels are so low, like we've been talking about with in a couple of the episodes, I'm gonna start every episode with the exact number of truly active listings. Now, not like under contract, backups, or buyer contingent. These are truly active listings that are available for clients to buy. In Chandler and Gilbert, you'll see the picture here. We got 882 properties available right now in Chandler and Gilbert. So let's get into the numbers. Average sale price in Chandler, we're looking at Chandler first. We're at $357,435, up from $350,652. Increase of just 2%. There's some weird variations going on with the pricing right now because of the low inventories. I'll explain that in the graph in a second. Average days on market, we're at 50, up from 47. So you'll notice from last year they're up a bit, but from earlier this year they're down. And you'll see that in the graphs in a moment. And then sold listings, like most of the time, the bulk of the sold listings was between 300,000 and 400,000. That was 174 listings, a total of 494 houses sold last month, up about 40 from last July. These numbers are for July. Here's the active, sold, and new listings. As you can see, the new listings are continuing to take a dip, so we're not adding really any more listings. However, the sold listings dipped off just a touch. And I think a lot of that has to do with school start schedules and stuff like that. July is, with our modified year-round schools, it's just a little wonky in July. So here's the pricing, or sold pricing for Chandler. Like I said, there's some random volatility, I think, and I think a lot of that has to do with like house availabilities and different kind of market conditions, but generally has trended up from last year. And if I remember correctly, last year we had that big spike in July. So even though it was at only 2%, I think we're still seeing a pretty standard growth that we were expecting, 4 or 5%, because we did have that big spike in January last year. Absorption rate, I haven't talked about this one in a while. I'm going to talk about it again. This is how much time, like if no new houses were put on the market, how quickly we would sell through the inventory. We are just above 1.5 months. So if no new listings came on in 90 days, we would be out of houses in Chandler. So we're going to look at this one again because inventories are low. Now, as inventory increases and we see this absorption rate raise, it means we're creeping more toward a buyer or balanced market. Right now, we're really in a pretty strong seller's market. Even in the 380 price point, I saw 2 houses this week go on the market, and later in the day they were off the market, they were under contract. So stuff's still moving pretty quick. If it's a great home priced well, it moves ridiculously fast. Here's our days on market. Like I said, pretty close to what last year's were, but we are down a bit from earlier this year, especially when we had that influx of new listings in the spring, like February, March timeframe. Gilbert numbers, we're at 397, 355, up from 366, 205. I know it's 8.5% increase, so pretty dramatic. You'll see in the graph in a moment how dramatic the price increase is. Now again, I think, especially in Gilbert, this is slightly inflated a little bit because of the lower inventory levels. Days on market, 46, up a bit from 41. Sold listings, 210 was the bulk. That was between 300,000 and 400,000, like we see in Chandler. These cities are just almost identical. 555 total houses sold in Gilbert last month. Similar graph to what we saw in Chandler. Again, a dip in new listings, a slight dip in sold listings. It feels a little more dramatic in Chandler than it was in Gilbert, but pretty similar. Here's where it's a little bit different. As you can see the graph, it's pretty well accelerated up in the last like 3 or 4 months. And one of the things I've found, at least in Chandler, even though things are selling really fast, they're not generally selling for a lot over asking. If they are selling for over asking, it's just a couple, maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000 over asking. So I think Gilbert, and I know this because I've got some buyers in Chandler, either under contract or looking, and that's kind of the trend I'm seeing. I think in Gilbert there may be a little more competition over pricing, partially because Gilbert's rate is one of the best places to live in like the country. So I think there may be a little more competition on the Gilbert side of things than there is in Chandler, but most everything else looks identical. Absorption rate is actually a little bit lower in Gilbert. We're under 1.5 months, but again, the graph looks very similar to Chandler's. And days on market, again, roughly in the same ballpark as last year, but down from earlier this year in the springtime. So anyway, that is it for this week. I appreciate you guys checking out the Tuesday market update on a Wednesday. As always, I believe you guys deserve a better quality experience. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, give me a call. I'd love to show you how I can deliver on that promise. I look forward to seeing you guys next week on Tuesday. Promise, on Tuesday. I'm making a promise. It may be late at night, but I'm going to promise. Next week for the Tuesday market update. I appreciate you guys. Have a great week. Bye.